Is this okay place to sit? Do I need to move or anything?
No, you're great. Okay. So, just for the video, I'm LaDonna Cunsolo, and this is Pastor Gavin. At New Life Christian Church in Winchester, Virginia. Okay. So my first question is, what is your favorite method of creative presentation?
I think one of my favorite ways to go about teaching is, we don't do it every week, but I really like to do like object lessons. It can be a good way to get the kids kind of involved too. Depending like bringing up volunteers and having them kind of help me with the object lesson or the demonstration or whatever, kind of a little bit more hands-on. But I think it's a little bit more fun and just kind of easier for the kids to grasp. I think if you can kind of have something physical and say like, well, this represents this, and let's see what happens when we add these two things together, or this interacts with this.
Do you have a particular one that was like a big hit?
Let's see. We did a Parents Night Out event back in February, and we talked about God's love. We did the event the day after Valentine's Day, so we were talking about God's love. We had 2 cups on the table, and I talked about how, I kind of explained what an object lesson really is, and so the guy said the cups represent people in our lives. We love on different people, whether it's our family or our friends or whoever. We show them love, we give them our love, and I called up some volunteers, and I had like a little red bucket with some water in it, and said, so this kind of I labeled it. It said, this is our love, the love that we give to our family members and our friends. And so I had one of the students try to we had a big sponge, and try to take the love, out of our buckets and fill up, your family, your friends, whoever that might represent. And so they took some time to fill that up, and, couldn't quite, they ran out of water pretty quickly. You couldn't fill out the person. So we said, obviously when we try to love somebody with our own love that we have, sometimes we're mean. We're not perfect, so we kind of fall short. We can't fill up the other people with love. And then I had somebody else come up when he had I think the big 10-gallon bucket of water, filled with water, and labeled as God's love, and said, so let's see what happens when you try and fill up your family, your friends with God's love. And so there's obviously an abundance of water that and of course being kids, they wanted to, that's why I made sure to set towels down. They wanted to naturally just keep overflowing the cup with water, and say, well, did you ever run out of God's love? And now there's plenty to go around. And they enjoyed that.
I'm sure they love that.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges of creating and facilitating creative delivery of biblical content?
I think I'd imagine it's kind of that way with any sort of teaching, whether in a school setting or church setting. It just kind of, you want to keep it, try to keep it fresh and engaging, and that's kind of, I guess that's always kind of my struggle and thought is just, okay, how do I say this in a way that sticks to biblical truth, but also is engaging and on a proper learning level for the kids, but also enjoyable. And I think that's always kind of challenging to balance all those things on top of being having fresh ways to teach it in ways that are exciting for the kids and engaging. So I think trying to balance all that and constantly coming up with kind of something different or something new that the kids will enjoy is always kind of a challenge.
And so do you use your own do you create your own lessons, or do you purchase your own lessons?
We do a little bit of both. We use Children's Ministry Deals curriculum, but kind of I kind of take it and definitely use the bulk of it, but kind of change it a little bit, make edits here and there to kind of fit our lesson format a little bit better, and our kids a little bit better. I was using. I actually just recently. It's been about a year since I've been here, and before the children's minister before me was making his own, creating his own lessons. So I tried that for a little bit, and it was that wasn't bad. I definitely think there's some benefits to making your own, but at least personally, I just kind of found that I don't pretend to be great or a genius or anything,
yeah.
and I'm not by any means don't feel like I'm a pro at making lessons of any kind, and I just know that there's lots of people out there and lots of companies out there that are trained professionals and are really good at what they do,
and
exactly, and have researched into different learning levels of kids and how they learn best and all these things, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel. If there's stuff out there already that fits really well and that works with with your kids in your church, I'd rather use that than try to. And then you put your own
energy into the creative presentation of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that way, exactly. I feel like I can save some time and put more energy into kind of learning lesson and how I present it in different ways like that.
Yeah. Do you memorize your lessons every week, or do you use note cards or?
I have a printout of our lesson that I try to make sure kind of a balance between.
We just had a discussion in this class about whether memorizing allowed you to be more to not be thinking about it as much, or whether it was better to use your notes to so that you could be more open to what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure a lot of it would probably kind of there's pros and cons to each. I'm sure. I kind of find myself somewhere in the middle. Especially when teaching kids, I feel like they're going to be engaged more if I'm not. Obviously, they're going to be engaged more. I feel like if I'm not reading, sitting there reading from a script. But I also want there's a lot of times I find myself, even if I know it pretty well, if I just don't look at it at all, I'll kind of go back and oh shoot, I really wanted to kind of emphasize this point, or I kind of missed this part. So I kind of try and find myself somewhere in the middle, be familiar enough with the lesson that I don't have to sit there and read it, but keep an eye on it so that I can make sure I'm hitting all my main things that I wanted to touch on.
And how much do you factor in kind of pop culture things that are going on, I don't know, Fortnite, I don't know what that is, but I know everybody's into it, or a new Captain America movie, or do you factor that in, or do you just kind of, this is a culture-free zone?
I kind of try to find a balance. I think I lean a little bit more towards not heavy on the culture side. I definitely do sometimes lean a little bit into culture, but if I do, I normally try to keep it pretty vague. We watch short little movie clips, pretty much every Sunday that I can kind of connect into the lesson at the start. But they're always kids movies, and always try to make sure that they're appropriate. Obviously, pretty much almost always animated movies, and specifically kids movies. And even at that, I try to make sure that sometimes even kids movies can be a little bit questionable depending on what parents would want to watch. So I was trying to make sure about that. But we've talked about superheroes a little bit before, but I don't typically ever make I
a whole series around.
I've never done a whole series, and I try to make sure even if I'm referencing superheroes, there's been several lessons where I've done that, but I try to make it kind of more of a vague, talk about Spider-Man, talk about Hulk, but I'm not ever going to reference, a specific movie.
Right.
Because even, obviously a big superhero fan, and I don't want to encourage kids to watch superhero movies just because most of the time they're rated PG-13. They'll still have some language in them and stuff, and I don't want to get into that. But there's plenty of, almost all kids are familiar with superheroes, and it can be a relatable thing, but a lot of them maybe watch some of the animated, there's plenty of superhero kids shows, so I try to just keep it to we'll make reference to this Spider-Man, or
strong like Spider-Man,
being strong like the Hulk, stuff like that, anything like that kind of. But.
Okay. And how do you handle, my last question, how do you handle volunteers who aren't really kid people?
That's a good question.
That aren't really engaging with the lesson. I mean, on a kid level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I normally kind of run into, obviously it's more kind of a shortage of volunteers you normally run into, but sometimes you do, you get some people that are I just really want to feel like I should help out. I want to help out.
Yeah.
Don't really feel like a bit,
yeah.
I'm great with kids or super.
But I feel like it's one of those things that attracts like a lot of people because they're like, I want to help out. What can I do? Okay, kids church, like
They kind of
that's
sometimes
obvious.
Sometimes it seems like an easy like okay I need to serve more. I need to get involved more. So that kind of seems like the first step. Like I'll see if the kids ministry needs help. Which is good. Any way for people to get more plugged in and serving is great. But I try to obviously always encourage, especially. We've got some volunteer positions that aren't as like we have our check-in system.
Right.
Still would prefer to be engaging with the kids because they're still the first people that the families and the kids are going to see, but they're not in constant contact with the kids. But I try to find places where volunteers will fit best, and I try to help them. Anytime a volunteer expresses interest in joining our volunteer team, I try to encourage them to figure out where they fit best. A lot of times they'll come like, I don't really know what goes on, but I just figured I'd see if I can help. And I'm like, okay, well, let me break it down for you and show you what you do, what we do in the kids ministry, each service, what our different roles are. We've got the nursery, we've got second service, we have the younger class and the older class. We got check, so I try to kind of put it all out there for them and say, and just let them, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Because I know a lot of people are going to be like, I don't, I'm not one to go and sit with the kids, play with the kids, and not really feel comfortable like interacting or feel comfortable teaching. So I try to just encourage them to, tell me, let me know where you think you'll feel most comfortable or feel most helpful or where you want to be. Because not everyone's necessarily, people are going to want to help out, but not necessarily.
Have you ever had to ask someone to like find a different way to help out?
Not yet. I've only been here for about 10 months now. So fortunately, so far I haven't had. I'm sure it'll be inevitable. It'll happen eventually. I've had a few volunteers where it's like, okay, I kind of need to remind them or encourage them, like if you could. Interact with the kids, help the kids. Sometimes sometimes you get, volunteers who just kind of want to stand in the background as the lesson's going on or worship is going on or whatever, and kind of have to remind them like if you could, kind of talk with the kids or encourage them to pay attention or dance if we're doing worship or whatever it is, that'd be great. But no, unfortunately, I haven't had to, ask anyone to change roles or anything yet, or step down or anything like that. But I'm sure it's inevitable in any ministry. Not yet, so knock on wood.
All right, thank you so much
no
for
problem.
your time.
Sure thing.
I really appreciate you helping me out.